So on that point, at what point do you feel like there's so for example, right, Jetpack Compose has been out, what, 2 years, 3 years, something like that now. And I've only just started looking at it because no contract that I've worked on previously needed it. I knew there was going to be like, oh, you learn this stuff, and then, you know, version 1 comes out and you have to relearn stuff. And also, even now, the contracts that I see come through, maybe 1 in 10 says nice to have Jetpack Compose. So it's still not a requirement. But at what point, because you are working for yourself and nobody's going to tell you, do you decide like, this thing's out now, I need to start learning it? Like, at what point do you realize or what point do you start learning stuff, I guess is the question.
Yeah, that's a good question. I've been part of multiple new technology initiatives at various different companies, from web back in .NET days to Android multiple times.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens, and this is something that will just happen in software forever. A new library comes out, it's in an alpha release stage, early release, canary, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's so brittle that if you start learning it there, it'll give you the heads up because you'll understand everything by the time it's stable.
Yeah.
You'll know everything about it, so you'll be the expert. So that's the benefit of it. The downfall of it is learning it will be the most frustrating experience you'll ever have because everything you build will break on the next release. Yeah. And you'll spend hours fixing it, talking to the developers, trying to figure out how it works. So for me, as someone who's, you know, being paid to deliver, I have come to the realization that I'm not really going to touch anything until we get to like a release candidate stage, you know? I might look at it, I might tinker with it, but I'm probably not going to build anything of any value with it until it's somewhat stable, because I don't have a lot of time to waste on, you know, learning, relearning. If something that 2 months ago was valid is not going to be valid now, like that's wasted time for me. And if you look at it as a billable perspective, that's wasted money that I could be making. So that's kind of my standard on when to learn them. But there's so many things to learn. So how do you even know what to learn? Yeah. Jetpack Compose is a good one. I don't need to learn it. I can use XML views all day long. But as someone who, if I want to be in demand, I have to see where the industry's going and kind of keep my eye on it, keep a pulse on where the industry's going. And I know it's going to Jetpack Compose. So for me, what I have found is having some type of side project where I'm working with the technology, I can implement it, helps me greatly. And I didn't have one of those for a while, though I usually recommend you having a to-do app. The one I had is so out of date that I just didn't even update it. Sure. So recently I had another one called Jumpstart Android. It's a native app add-on for Rails SaaS apps. And when I built that, I said, you know what, this time Compose is stable enough in my opinion that I'm going to use that. So that enabled me to actually build a functional application that people will end up using those new technologies. And at the same time, I was like, all right, well, I haven't used Hilt before, but I've used Dagger for years. Right. All right, let me use Hilt. Okay. I haven't used coroutines before. I'm going to use coroutines. So I just threw myself in there because I saw that, well, RX Java is kind of going out. Not really many people are talking about using it. Coroutines are being pushed. Same thing with, you know, everything else in Kotlin flows. And so it's usually when release candidate, it's where the industry is going, and it's you know, it's stable enough for me not to waste a ton of time.